This is A-Game. Fast acting, long lasting, with no side effects.
Hey all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly values, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey there, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I am your host, femininity coach, and author of The Crimson Cure, and this is my perspective. So, what are we talking about? We are talking about how Black women destroy the sanctity of the church. Now, somebody would come along and say, "Come on now, Crimson Cure, you're going too far." Am I? I got two videos I want to show you. One, I want to show you a video of the sanctity being destroyed. And then I want to show you another video that I need you to listen to very closely. And we're going to come back with my perspective because we got a lot to unpack, Crimsonites. So let me go ahead and share.
We don't want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population.
On December 10, 1939, Planned Parenthood founder Margaret Sanger wrote a letter to Dr. Clarence J. Gamble in which he said that eliminating blacks was one of their goals, but they needed a front man to sell it.
And the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea.
Margaret Sanger is reputed to have made covenants and recruiting agreements with Black clergy in times past. So there's a real problem there where there's an aggressive, I have to use very strong language to describe it because I think it's racial genocide, meaning that a group of people say, we want to wipe out as many of these other people as we can.
During her lifetime, Dr. Margaret Sanger said, "Colored people are like weeds, and they need to be exterminated. We don't want that word to get out." And then in essence, she went on.
We don't want the word to go out.
Okay. So why did I show you the second video? Okay, so the first video is what we're going to discuss. The twerking. Now, somebody come in along and say, well, this was praise dancing. It wasn't really twerking. It wasn't meant to be sexual and things of that nature. But it is also not sanctity. It's also not respecting a house of worship. You can say what you want to say about so-called twerking and the history of, because I know I'm gonna have somebody come in here and say, well, it wasn't really twerking, it's not really sexual, you know what I'm saying? We just do, this and it's rooted back to Africa and all of that. I don't want to hear none of that because we know what it is. We know that movement, the gyration of the hips as we squat down, is sexual in nature. It is meant to entice and all of that good stuff. Just because it ain't you followed up by a trap beat don't mean it ain't what it is. The reason why I showed you the second video is because I need you guys to tie together some knots here, to tie together some ends here. Because the foolishness that we see perpetuated in and around the Black communities, for a large degree of it, actually came through the church. It came through the church house. Because the church used to be the main part of defense against the lost value system of the place that we live and the institutions that uphold this place. See, we used to have a shield, and that shield used to be the church. Back when the church was supported by the people of the community that attended it. Back when you had spirituality that accompanied going to church and all of the things that you did while you were in church. The respect that you had, not only for the building itself, but what the building represented, what everyone in the community came together to do in that building, which was to praise God, which is your spiritual value. And Black people used to take the church and everything that had to do with worship and the church very, very seriously. There was no room for disrespect. There was no room for any type of what would have been seen as worldly foolishness, worldly nonsense. None of that was allowed to transpire or take place in the church, even by people that you knew was engaged in, you know what I'm saying, certain activities or whatever outside the church. They knew that when they came into the church, it don't matter what nobody know what you do. You're not carrying that energy inside of this place, because this is the last bastion of the 10 life value system where spirituality was placed first and foremost. But the second video was meant to demonstrate how these institutions began to infiltrate the church with the lost value system under the guise of we're gonna collaborate together, and they turn the defense of the church into something that they could use. When I say they, I mean in the institutions of this land. Because the church was the last real bastion of the value system, the 10 life value system that the Black community held on to, it had to be undermined. It had to be usurped. It needed to be neutralized, right? How do you neutralize it? You put money into it. You approach the clergymen that was for sale. You approach them with a concept, with an idea. Anytime these institutions wanted the entirety or the majority of the Black community to accept some nonsense out of the lost value system, they went through the church, because the church was really the only place where it could convince the people. So the church would influence the people who influenced the institutions. This used to be the power of us. We had a centralized place where spirituality was first, right? That would galvanize us. We saw a commonality of purpose within that. And we would, a lot of times, our leaders who were activists were also clergymen of the church, and they were the men of the community. Do you understand the ties that I'm trying to get y'all to realize as to why we see something like that foolishness, dancing, twerking in a church house and trying to say that that's got something to do with spirituality? When the reality is the church is now no longer, it has been neutralized. And not only has it been neutralized, it has gone several steps further to become the weapon in the hand of the institution over the Black community, to such an extent that nobody views the church nowadays like our mothers and our grandmothers and grandfathers used to actually view it. Now we can ridicule the church. You can come to church dressed any old kind of way, doing any kind of thing, whatever it is that you're doing, and it's all supposed to be good because only God can judge me and all that craziness. But the deeper issue is that peace, that spiritual peace, was the last thing that the majority of Black communities all over the United States had as a defense mechanism against being sucked into the life value system, hook, line, and sinker. And when the institutions, governments, what you saw with Margaret Sanger and family planning, things of that nature, you weren't going to be able to just think that Black women were going to just go and have a bunch of abortions. Why? Because we had a spiritual base and we knew that morally it was wrong. So we wasn't going to go wholesale a whole bunch of, we didn't have that issue with a whole bunch of abortions. You made it. If you had, you know what I'm saying, some stuff going on that wasn't quite wholesome or it wasn't quite together, you know what I'm saying, somebody was going to help you or something within the community. It was going to be communally based. You don't got, yeah, I know you did what you weren't supposed to do, baby, but you ain't got to go do that. And they guised it under health care. Well, you know, Black women aren't being equally treated in hospitals and things of that nature for their prenatal care and stuff like that. So what we'll do is we'll give them care, but we also give them the option to terminate these pregnancies. And even today, they put abortion under health care. Since when is it health care to get a baby scraped out your womb? How's that health care? You know, health care is when I feel sick, I go to the doctor, give me some medicine to help me feel better. That would be health care. Getting my mistake scraped out of my womb is not a health care. But anyway, even moving past that point, Margaret Sanger knew to go to the church so that the church could influence who? The people. If we make it okay in quote unquote God's eyes, if we make it a moral argument, if we put it in that framework, then Black women will come to accept it. And because that kept happening, where the church would absorb these institutions, then they started getting paid by them. Well, we'll fund your church, but you gotta push together some type of agenda. You gotta be with us as we talk on these platforms about these certain things that you may be uncomfortable with. But if you give it a moment to just absorb, you will see what we're talking about. We're doing stuff for the greater good of society. And isn't God about doing stuff for the greater good of society? Isn't the church about helping the people? See how they make the connection for you, a connection that doesn't make sense actually in reality once you start saying stuff out loud. But this talk and BS walk. But this is why now today, fast forward from all of that, you got more women in the church than you do men in the church, because there are the vast majority of a lot of these churches support institutional thinking, which is the lost value system. And a lot of the men know they disagree with it. So you don't really find a whole lot of men in the church because they're going to they're going to be the opposition, but they're outnumbered. Now it's a lot of women, and you can always get the lost value system through a bunch of women because chaotic. So Black women, since they are now the majority of the constituency of the church now is no longer operating as the defense against the lost value system. It's operating in concert with it. So now when it is in concert with it, the women are going to do what? Keep perpetuating that system, not the 10 life values, but the lost value system. And this is how you get, see, that twerking is a result. It's not the cause of the foolishness. It's the result of the foolishness. You understand what I'm saying? So I know that y'all didn't get these likes up. So bam, 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 bam. You got to get the likes up. Bam, bam. See, I gave you one on a pre-record. You see what I'm saying? I love you guys. So what I want you to do is jump down into the comment section, sound off. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not. And once again, I'm your host of Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites. Hey guys, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. And if you've got more to say on the topic, leave a comment down below. Also, don't forget to support our sponsor who so graciously supports this channel by clicking the description box and the link for A-Game at agameherbal.com. You can go ahead and get a 10% discount off of your next purchase using the code Kendra10. This has been yet another Crimson Cure production, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.